Look, I spoke briefly about the false sense of peace that's going to ensnare the world, right? First, it was Jesus that spoke about this in Matthew. Now, Brother Paul elaborates this on 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 2 through 7. For you know very well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. While people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. But you, brothers and sisters, are not in darkness, so that this day should surprise you like a thief. You are all children of the light and children of the day. We do not belong to the night or to the darkness. So then let us not be like others who are asleep, but let us be awake and sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk at night. Wow, look at that. There's going to be a lot of people out there asleep. It's not even just talking about physical sleepiness. It's talking about ignorance. There's going to be a lot of people who are willfully ignorant, turning a blind eye, closing their ears on what's going on, receiving everything that I mentioned earlier, everything that comes at the push of a button. You got to understand, when it comes to peace and safety, right? The common American, I'm going to use America as a reference point because we're the leaders of the world, technically, right? Look how easily accessible it is to have everything that you would ever need in today's day and age. You got information, you got knowledge, income, money, even sex and alcohol are easily accessible. Drugs, entertainment, all of these things, right? A lot of people would acquire these things and then say, okay, my life is good. You know, I'm chilling. My life is secure. I have peace because this is all that I have. And check it out. Who are at the top of the world who are flaunting all of these things? It's the celebrities. It's the CEOs. All of these people that have all of this free time, and yet they don't have free time to acknowledge who God is. And I mean, how can you? If you have everything that you ever need, if you have all of these things that I have listed, why would there be a reason for you to want to seek God when it's usually the broken who seeks God? The arrogant, the proud, those who have everything in order, they're not going to need any type of reason to seek God, to seek a higher power. And then don't even talk to me about when they go to the VMAs and then they say, I thank God for this. What kind of God are they thanking? It's not the Son of Man. That right there is scary. You know, look around you. Everybody could start a business, right? Everybody could collect unemployment. Everybody could go on a website like Tinder if they want to seek temporary pleasure. Everything is so easily accessible at the push of a button that people are so conveniently attached to it, they're going to be oblivious to that sudden destruction when it happens. That's what's scary. But you know what's even scarier? Those who are already Christians, who have been given assignments by God. And listen, God is not going to lay down every single responsibility onto us because look, we're the body. We all have different functions. We all have different roles. If we choose to sit on the sidelines, if we have our feet on the couch as the world burns, we're just as bad. We're just a part of the problem. This is what's even scarier. This is in Matthew 24, verse 42 all the way to 51. Jesus is referencing the complacent. Therefore, keep watch because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known of what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you must also be ready because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servant, whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and then he begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of the servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. That right there is a terrifying passage to come across. Applicable to those who have already received the knowledge of the truth, those who have said, I receive you, Jesus, as my Lord and Savior. This can happen to any one of us. This could happen to somebody who just became a convert. This could happen to the pastor that was working or preaching rather for 60 years. This could happen to the theologian that was teaching at Christian institutions. This could happen to anybody that at the very last minute, people get complacent. They become worldly. They become lukewarm. They start seeking things that they shouldn't be seeking. They fall into the sin. Instead of being used by God to potentially help other people come out of darkness and into the truth, they fall off, not anticipating his return. Treat every single moment as if Christ is coming back right now. I know it sounds extreme. I know it sounds intense, but let this serve as a reminder for everyone. This is even further stressed in Matthew 25. It's a little bit too much to condense at this time, but check it out when you have a chance. Matthew 25, Jesus is talking in parables again, parables of the 10 virgins. 5 of them were wise, 5 of them were unwise. It's the idea that the virgins were getting ready for a wedding banquet. The bridegroom was supposed to arrive. 5 virgins were ready with oil in their lamps to present to the bridegroom, but the other 5 left without having oil with them. They didn't anticipate his arrival because he was a long distance away. So there were 5 unwise virgins that were starting to demand that the other wise virgins give oil to them to share. And then the wise virgins were saying, hey, look, we can't share this with you. We're not going to have enough for ourselves. The unwise virgins, they left trying to find a vendor to buy some oil. And on their way back, returning to the banquet, it turns out that the bridegroom came earlier than expected. And they went to the door, and the door was already shut, with the wise virgins inside with the bridegroom in the banquet. They weren't ready. The doors closed on them. And then the Lord said, who are you? I don't know who you are. Look, it's not to scare anybody, but look, if you call yourself a Christian, live by that. Don't discredit the faith. Don't try to juggle the world because you know better. You know better than the people who don't know what the truth is. The previous message, that's for the people who don't know the Lord yet, the people who be rejecting the message. But you know, God is calling the attention of both the saved and the unsaved, respectively. And you know, to the best of my ability, I'm trying to express this to 2 different audiences, but I'm sure that his word will reach out to you.